Good afternoon, everybody. We are live here for our Lunch and Learn on Friday. These Lunch and Learns I have just really looked forward to every week. I have learned something every week in the Lunch and Learn, and which is good. I haven't eaten anything, so I haven't lunched during our Lunch and Learn, but I usually lunch after. But I do learn every time, and we are here once again with Director of Product Development, Brooke Sloate. Brooke, welcome. Thanks for joining us at lunch today.
Thank you, Roger. I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be a lot of fun for our listeners.
I think so too. This is one that like blows my mind. There's so much that is in pet food labels and claims and packaging, and I know some of it is probably there because it has to be there. Some of it is maybe there because a pet food company is trying to help educate us or tell us what's in it, and some of it honestly looks like it's there to just confuse us. I know it probably isn't, but sometimes that's how it can feel as somebody is trying to read the package of your pet food label and figure out what's the right thing to give our pets. So I'm excited today to hear from you, and I'm sure you've got lots of great things to share with us and help us to feel a little bit more empowered when we go to read that label on the back of our pet food package or making those decisions. I'm sure we will feel more empowered after spending some time with you today at lunch. So thank you for joining.
Sure.
All right, so shall we jump in? Shall we just jump right into this thing? I see lots of guests joining, and I know that many people watch this after the fact. So let's join. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I see a lot of great, excited, faces and names here on the joining the live. Welcome, and welcome to all of our guests who will be watching later. So let's jump in with the first question, Brooke. As I kind of outlined, a lot of people really do have difficult time understanding what's on the package. Can you share some insights today? Maybe start with the name of the product. When somebody sees the name, help us understand what that means.
Absolutely. Okay. So the first thing to know is that pet food labeling is regulated at two levels: the federal regulations that are enforced by the FDA and the Association of American Feed Control Officials, or AAFCO. So you'll hear me talk a lot about AAFCO. That's who that is, Association of American Feed Control Officials. So we'll start with the significance of the name of the product, because this is a key factor in the consumer's decision to buy the product, right? And the thing that you guys should know is that there are 4 rules defined by the FDA. And as I go through these rules, not only do these apply to pet food, but frankly, they apply to human food as well, because the FDA regulates human food, obviously, as well as pet food. So this might be kind of interesting and change the way you shop for groceries. So here we go. We'll jump right in. So we're going to talk about the first rule, which is called the 95% rule. And this applies to products consisting of very few ingredients and therefore have very simple names. So if a food was named beef dog food or tuna fish cat food, at least 95% of the product must be the named ingredient. So in this case, it's beef or tuna fish. This is not counting the added water for processing and any condiments, if you will, that are added, okay? And the ingredients must be listed in order of predominance by weight of the product. So for example, the product couldn't be named chicken and salmon for cats if there's actually more salmon than chicken in the product. So let me give you an example here of our treats. Okay, so paw treats, you see this is named chicken, apples, and kale. And those are just what the ingredients are: chicken, apples, and kale. So 95%, the 95% rule applies to this product. Okay, it's not a food, it's a treat and used for supplemental feeding, but it's a good example of the 95% rule. Okay, now let's go down to the 25% rule, or dinner, what we call the dinner rule. And this applies to many canned and dry food products. So it applies if the named ingredients make up at least 25% of the product, but less than the 95% that we just talked about, right? So in this case, the name must include a qualifying descriptive term such as dinner, entree, formula, recipe. Those are just to name a few. There's obviously others, okay? And also each named ingredient must be at least 3% of the total. So we're going to look at a bag of our poultry bag, but I'm going to make it a little smaller so you can see this. And this is our turkey and sweet potato recipe. So using this, the 25% rule, because it has a descriptive term recipe, right? I said it could have dinner, it could have formula, etc. Yep. The combination of the named ingredients, turkey and sweet potato, must have 25% turkey and sweet potato combined, and at least 3% of the sweet potato, if that makes sense. So if it's named turkey and sweet potato, 25% of that product would be made up of turkey and sweet potato. And if it were named sweet potato and turkey, it would have more sweet potato than turkey, but at least 3% turkey. I hope this is kind of making sense.
I feel like I'm back in math class a little bit, but it is making sense. But it feels like it's, so I understand it's that whatever's in that first statement of the ingredient is the predominant thing, but if you're going to include it in the recipe name, then the last thing, whatever the least amount of the 25, still has to be at least 3%.
Exactly, at least 3%. And the way to double check this is you turn it over and you go to the ingredient statement on the back, which is this, and you can see first ingredient is turkey, and it is named turkey and sweet potato, so you know that turkey is your predominant ingredient. Okay, so you can always double check by looking at the back of the bag, which would show your ingredient statement. Hopefully that isn't too confusing. Okay.
No, that's very helpful. I mean, I think most of us don't realize that these rules apply, that people can just kind of name things whatever they want to name things, but they're very specific, aren't they?
No, the names and honestly, everything you say on your bag is very specific and checked. So you need to, you can't just put anything on the bag. You have it. There has to be a rhyme or reason for it. So that is the 25% rule. And again, that applies because it's a recipe or a dinner or a formula. So now we'll talk about the 3% rule. And what this does, it enables manufacturers to point out the presence of minor ingredients that weren't added in sufficient quantity to merit the dinner claim. Okay, so if you see the term with cranberries, you will know that there's at least 3% of cranberries in that product. Now, this can be confusing, so hopefully you can follow me here. Okay. So here are a couple of examples. You have chicken dog food, and that contains at least 95% chicken, as we talked about, right? But if it says dog food with chicken, it contains only 3% chicken because of the with. So when you see that with word, beware or just know that the with word means that only 3%.
Very, very interesting. That is a very helpful tool for the average consumer who honestly just would never know these things. So so what did you say? So if it's dog food with turkey, that means it's not really a lot of turkey in your dog food. It means it's some dog food made of some stuff with a little bit of turkey.
Right. I mean, and when I say 3%, it's at least 3%. But generally speaking, if someone's using the with, it's a minor ingredient.
Okay. Helpful. Very helpful. Okay. We're learning stuff, aren't we, folks?
I'm telling you, look for this on your human food. I shop very differently now. Now that, since I've known all this information, I shop extremely differently.
Because these requirements, the with and the and dinner and recipe, these are all the same for pet food as well as human food.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so there's one more rule, right? Because I said there were 4.
Okay.
And this is called the flavor rule. And there's really no specific percentage required in this rule, but the product must contain an amount sufficient to be able to be detected. Okay, so an example of this would be chicken flavor dog food. So if you see the word flavor, that usually means that there's 1% or less of that named ingredient in the product. So flavor is your least at 1% or less. With is 3%. The dinner rule is 25%. And the 95% is, basically you're saying it's beef, it's chicken, et cetera.
Yeah.
So hope that clears up some stuff.
I know it does for me. I really think people will start to look at their pet food labels very differently now, maybe even their human food labels, to your point there. But I really do. I think it's very helpful to kind of organize our thoughts that way. It's interesting. I know most viewers may not even know one of our products is a pet food seasoning, and it's made, the very first ingredient is the raw meat, whatever, if it's a beef variety, then it's beef. If it's a chicken variety, then it's chicken itself, and so forth. But it's interesting. We purposely don't use the word flavor when we talk about that, because flavor would imply that it's only 1% of chicken or 1% beef. So we really stay away from that word, because it's those products are predominantly the chicken or the beef or that protein source. So,
yeah, that's a perfect example, Roger, of the 95% rule. We have so much meat in those products. I mean, that makes the 95% rule.
Wonderful. All right, so we've learned about the four breakdowns in reading labels. What about other claims? What other interesting things can you teach us, or can we learn about pet food labeling and some of the other claims, which I know that comes up a lot for people?
Okay. And we use the term claim, and I know maybe a lot of people don't exactly understand what that is. So a claim is a statement that's made on the package that tells you what's special or different about that product. So a claim can be descriptive about an ingredient or about the nutrition it provides. So for instance, here are some claims on our package. So this is the front of our package. Okay, real turkey is the first ingredient. Yeah. And no poultry byproducts. Those are claims. And again, every claim that we make is double checked by a regulatory attorney to make sure that we're telling the truth. And all the states, have their AFCO regulators who look at our stuff as well. So that is an example of a claim. Okay. And you really want to pay attention to the claims, because the manufacturer is trying to tell you stuff about the product and what's different about it. Okay. So, and again, with these claims are where the manufacturer, sorry for the noise here, where the manufacturer adds special ingredients to aid in the health of your pet. Okay. Now, Pawtree has 20 claims all throughout our bag. And I'm showing you the back of the bag because I'm going to really hone in on some of these. Okay. So in this little area up here, we have, several claims. We have balanced calcium and phosphorus for bone and tooth health. We have contains taurine to support heart and eye health. Natural source of DHA supports healthy brain development and overall brain health. Contains omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids for a healthy skin and coat. A good source of natural glucosamine to help maintain joint health. Contains prebiotics to support a healthy digestive tract. We actually even have one here that says formulated for reduced stool volume. And I'm going to talk about that in just a moment, okay? Because that's important for us pet parents, right? But generally speaking, adding the nutrition to make these claims costs money. And so often companies don't make many claims. They'll make some claims on the front of their bag because they want you to walk up to the shelf, stand in front of their product, and make a decision between their products in their brand. They're not necessarily expecting you to turn the bag over and look at the claims on the back. Okay, so they spend some money and they put some things in. You'll see that on the front of the bag. Also, as I mentioned before, you just can't make up claims. There's research behind every one of them to understand the nutrients and amounts needed for each claim, and we have to prove that before we can actually put that on our package, okay? Now, on the other hand, when formulating our Pawtree food, we looked at the issues that were most important to pet parents when deciding on what claims to make. We feel that pet parents shouldn't have to choose what's more important for their pet, right? So is heart and eye health more important than a healthy brain? Is it more important than bone and tooth health, or a healthy skin and coat, or good joint health, or a healthy digestive system? Guys, it's all important. And with Pottery, we take care of all of that in our food, in our nutrition. But again, every time we claim something, we're adding ingredients to make sure that we can make those claims. Now, I mentioned before that we make the claim formulated for reduced stool volume. And you might say, Brooke, what does that mean, right? Okay, so we all have to pick up poop for our pets, right? So, better stools, firmer stools that look like soft Tootsie Rolls. We talked about that already. That's what we're, looking for. The reduced stool volume, what that means actually is that we use nutrition that our pets are actually getting more, utilizing more of the nutrients and digesting more of the nutrients and getting more use out of it, so they poop out less. If they have big stools, there's a lot of stuff that they're not really getting much nutrition from, right? And you're seeing it when you pick it up. So you will notice, if you're not a Pottery user and you switch to Pottery, you will see really nice, soft, firm Tootsie Roll small stools is what you will see.
It is close to lunchtime.
Sorry. It wouldn't be a training without talking about poop. I'm sorry.
Very, very true. Well, that whole topic, what you were talking about there with, the variety of claims that we do have and how we really don't want to make a pet parent choose. I've got to just say for a second, by the way, this is super helpful and wonderful information to understand how these, these various statements on the package, not just the naming, of the food, but these claims, as you call them, what people say about the food, what it has, what it doesn't have. Those all are regulated statements that have to be substantiated. And one of the things that I just wanted to share from my perspective, I'm the founder and CEO of Pottery. And when I started this company over 6 years ago, and started thinking about the impact that we could have on pets' lives if we really, truly improve the quality of their nutrition. And that was really, the premise of starting this business was I really felt like there was a better way to care for our pets. And most of the time, in selling products, especially in a retail store, and it's understandable, I used to sell products in a retail store before I started Pottery. And, when a consumer looks at a package on a retail shelf, they only have a few seconds to kind of look at it and see what they're going to see. And so what a lot of companies do is they will identify what are, the 2 or 3 most important things that a consumer is looking for, and they'll put those on the package, nice and big. So they'll have a couple of really important claims. Maybe it's something to support joint health, or something to support brain health, or something, and they'll call that out nice and big and draw that consumer in. But what most of them will do is, if they put their marketing behind that claim, they also put their dollars in the ingredients behind that claim, and they don't put in the other things, because why would they put in a bunch of stuff that they're not calling out intentionally? And so, because we sell in a different way, we don't sell in retail stores. We rely on relationships and people to share our products with others. And so in that sharing environment, it's very easy for people to say, hey, we actually make 20 claims about our pet food. 5 things that we don't have and 15 things that we do have. And the combination of those 20 things is what makes our product so amazing, so uncompromising, so high quality. And we don't rely on just a couple of bullets and a couple of ingredients to substantiate the product and market the product. We rely on people to market the product and share it because of their experience with our product. And we rely on the amazing product and the fact that we've put everything in it. The 15 things in it that are wonderful and healthy and nutritious, and the 5 claims that we don't want, the things that we absolutely stay away from. And the combination of those, claims, those 20 claims, as you said, Brooke, really define who we are and kind of the the integrity of the product that we've developed, because we know it'll make a difference. So just wanted to take a moment to share that. I know we've got a lot of fans, pet pros and customers and fans of Pottery on, and it's okay if you're not a Pottery customer, that's okay too. There's a lot to learn here in these lunch and learns, but wanted to point out that was really the premise for developing our pet food, was to be inclusive, in the claims that we make, and put all of the goodness in the products so that we don't make customers choose. I think I've heard you say that before, Brooke. We don't want to make customers choose.
Yeah, because all of those things are important. So they shouldn't have to choose. And with Pottery, they don't. That's honestly, that is what sold me completely on this company. Just that one meeting that you and I had talking about what pet food should be. Because it's not inexpensive to make pet food like this. So,
well, this is a really wonderful education for us. Thank you for taking the time to share this. I know next week, by the way, I know we've got another wonderful topic. We're going to kind of expand to other nutrition and talk about understanding pet nutrition, things you need to know. So that's one you will not want to miss. Understanding pet nutrition, things you need to know. And we've had multiple weeks of these, Brooke. There's been just wonderful empowerment that you're sharing with us to help us be smarter and more confident pet parents. And we appreciate you taking the time to do that. If you're catching one of these lives and there's a topic that you may have missed, feel free to scroll back through our feed. You'll find the other topics. And feel free to watch. These Lunch and Learns have been fabulous every Friday. And we will be back next week. Same time, same place, different subject, but all in an effort to help you be better, stronger, more confident pet parents, to help these wonderful, beautiful miracles in our lives, these pets who bring us so much joy, so that
you won't want to miss next week, you guys. Tune in.
Tune in. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you, Brooke, for taking your time. And we'll see you all back here next week.
Bye, guys.